we're going to bring up a special guest. We have Jill Biggs here from Coldwell Banker, and she is the #1 Coldwell Banker agent in New Jersey, and put it up there, #2 in the nation. Yeah. You're right over here, right here, yep. Right in the middle. Perfect. Okay. All right, Jill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm alone.
You're alone? You're not alone.
Am I on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let me start with, I had a party last night for my team, and so until 1:30 in the morning, I had a DJ and 150 people, and I'm probably still drunk. So I apologize if my eyes cross or I don't seem, whatever. I can't even think of what the word is. So I'm Jill Biggs. I have a team in Hoboken, Jersey City, Hudson County, where 60 agents, give or take 5 or so, day depending. I have 15 support staff, and, we do a lot of business. I think last year, $424 million.
You guys hear that? $428 million. A lot of business.
I do some of everything, not one, but all of them. And I do it at scale, and I do it with purpose, and it's all worked out, and we're tracking and measuring everything that we do so that when it's not making money, we stop doing it so we don't go out of business. I think everybody here, I was super interested with, everybody's got their thing, and there is no one right way to do real estate at all, right? We all know that. Like, we're all super different, and I think being genuine, whatever your genuine is, like, if you bring that, you find your tribe, and those people will like you. So I have no idea if I answered anything.
You run an incredible business. How are you guys standing out with, from other agents? You talk about scale, right? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Listen, I never intended to have a team, right? I was an individual agent who became a realtor because I was unemployed. Like, that sounds terrible, but I needed a job, and I figured I had businesses before, and I had sold my business. It was kind of stupid. Decided I was going to go to Maui with my husband to surf in 2001. I don't even like the fucking beach. I apologize for my bad language. But I had gone from owning a children's clothing and toy store in Hoboken, which is like a 1 square mile town opposite the city. And I did that for 10 years, and then we went to Maui, and I lasted 9 months because I was a workaholic. I stopped getting dressed, and I was drinking, and I was like, you can stay, but I'm going back. And fortunately, I had rented out my apartment to 4 girls, and I took it back, and I didn't have a job. So I started trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I had a database of 7,000 women who had shopped in my store. And I had been dressing their children, and it was a high-end store, and I have a very good market, because every 3.5 to 5 years, we turn over, whatever it is, right? Whether you're buying another, you're moving up, you're leaving, like, we just have a lot of churn, which is better. Like, you buy a house in the burbs and you stay there for 20 years, so it's not as easy as it is, for movement, no matter what the market does, up or down. Like, we're transactional, and I don't mean that in a negative way, because we also, when we develop a relationship, we want to be your realtor for life. And we are very strategic about it. Like, I don't know who spoke about the Carly? You're Carly, right? About doing things right so that people remember you. And I'm not even sure if you talked about this, but those client events. So when I have a client event, like, it's a pillar of my business. And typically, I have boat cruises. I take everybody out on the Hudson. And I will have, I can only get, I think, 355 people on the boat. So when we invite people, right, we send out first an email. And we only invite people who we've made money from, right? That sounds terrible, but it's business. And we, the agents, right, get to make their list, and we do round one. You send out your paperless post, and then you follow it up with a phone call, because it gives you a reason to, say, hey, haven't seen you in a while, blah, 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 come on my boat cruise, right? And if you're on a boat, they can't get off. So they're like trapped with you. And so that gives one touch point, and then this continues, right? From the 6 weeks, right? The save the date, the follow-up call, the evite. We invite more people, right, as we go through our list, and we tell people the boat will fill up, and then you'll have to come next year. So people want to get on the boat. And to be honest with you, it pays for itself before it's ever left, because we get referrals. And we also will have a drawing. Like every year we have a theme, and I don't know, we've got you covered. We gave out umbrellas. One year I gave away those bikes that you ride around on. Like, we'll have something, people want to do it, Apple Watches, whatever happens to be the flavor of the year. And then afterwards, if you didn't make it, right, we're able to follow up. We'll send you a gift bag. While we're there, we take pictures. And we usually do some sort of charity fundraiser, so we're also able to hit that box. And I don't know, it's become kind of sought after, and people like it, and we get a lot of business from it. So, and it doesn't cost anything. It just takes planning and putting it on your schedule. That was a ramble, right? I don't know I forgot the question, but.
You're good. So how is this changing market affecting you and your team? And what are you tripling down on?
So this is an interesting market. Our market is off by almost 40%.
Correct.
And my team is off by 20%. However, this month, I want to say that we are twice as much as last year, right, for the month. So we're seeing, right, that we're making more deals. I don't think it's because the market is getting better, but we have really been focused on having better conversations and leveling up my agents and their skill set, because half the realtors will go away, and being able, right, to figure out how quickly to pivot, right? The conversation shifts, and you have to shift in that direction. And I think that we forget, people that need to buy, right? What did they say, 5 Ds? I think Jared talked about that, right? You have to find motivation, right? Motivation is important. Like, if you're talking to somebody and they tell you that they've decided to put their search on hold, you got to find out why. You don't hang up when they say, oh, we're not looking anymore. You say, do you mind telling me why? Right? Obviously, if they're giving birth and living in a 1-bedroom apartment, they're not staying there forever. Or, right, the people that have a reason will absolutely still make a move. However, having conversations, like if you're not having any conversations, how you gonna hear that? So you gotta have a plan, and right, not to be as basic as making your phone calls, but you have to communicate with people where they live. Like Jared said something about taking out, like texting or whatever the way of communication is. If you text an old person, they're not answering you. They can't even see the phone, right? And text has no tone. So you have to make sure you mix it up. If a millennial tells you that they only want to communicate, via phone, they can't hear your voice. And you can say that one text and read it the wrong way. And I watch my agents with that. And so you kind of have to mix it up. You got to have a combination of like targeted, segmented communication, right? So that you're texting these people, you're sending handwritten notes to the old people, or you're calling them on their house phone. They have house phones, right? Like, all of those things need to happen, and I don't know, sometimes knocking on the door, and listen, I live in a place where if you knock on the door, you get arrested. However, right, getting out there, if you only have an email, and sending something of value is important. And maybe not shoving real estate down everybody's throat. However, you don't want to be a secret agent, right?
Yeah, you're right. So I know we don't have a crystal ball. What do you think 2024 is going to look like in real estate business for you?
So, listen, I'm not gloom and doom at all. My business is going to be very good because I will outwork everybody else. Well, whatever that looks like, right? Those of us that have been doing this for a long time we're going to put our head down and grind, and we're going to look, and we're going to pivot, and we're going to shift, and we're going to tighten our belts where we need to, and we're going to spend money where we're making money. And the reality is, you know, yeah, we are in sales, but you're also in service, and you're there to help people. You don't, like, as soon as anyone feels that you want the money or you need the money, they're not buying. Right? You're not selling them anything. You're asking them, right, and finding out their motivation. The person in charge, the person asking the question is in charge of the conversation. So you got to ask questions. You got to ask questions. You got to listen to what people are saying. You got to go back to basics. Everything starts with a script. If you don't have your script like memorized, all those agents who during COVID, well, they weren't agents. They had a lot of free time, and they got a license, they don't even know what's going on, right? They're confused. And so you'll have a lot less of us, but those of us that are here, it'll be okay. You'll adjust. My first mortgage was like 9%, right? Some of you guys, I mean, I'm old, but like 12, yeah, like whatever. Honestly, what you have, anytime there's a shift like this, and I'm watching, is my market has a decent price point. Our average price is $880, but it goes from like $300,000 up to $6 million. So somewhere between $500,000 and close to $2 million, that market is watching. They're not sure what to do. Half of them think, you know, everything's going to collapse, the prices are going to come down, and the other half is like, you know, they're thinking the opposite. So who knows? Whatever. However, if they're motivated, right? If they want to buy a house, now perhaps you have the ability to negotiate, right? You couldn't negotiate before. You had to make an offer over asking. Or right? If you're going to sit there and you're going to wait for prices to come down, yeah, maybe they come down a bit, but then everybody else comes out and they drive the price up. So what was behind you wanting to buy? How can I help you to do that? How can we put you into a house? Maybe there's a temporary buy down, right, that you can get. Maybe we can even get the seller to pay it, or however that looks, and you refi out of it. Like, it's not hard to convince people, or you have to let them convince themselves. I don't know if that makes sense, but they have to come to the conclusion. You just have to have the ability to communicate so that they can come to that conclusion themselves.
So there's so much talk about ChatGPT and AI. Are you integrating that into your business on a daily basis, and how does that look like?
Does everyone have ChatGPT? It's super interesting if you like take a little bit of time and you play around with it. A few weeks ago, I was trying to figure out how am I going to get ahead of the marketing piece, where sellers all of a sudden aren't selling in the weekend, right? And they want to know, what's the plan? What are we going to do, right? So I called my marketing director and I said, hey, can you give me a 90-day plan that we send over in advance, right? Because if you over-communicate from the beginning, right, they're less apt to be questioning what's happening. And that way, it isn't like, oh, we did every single thing day one, and then when it didn't sell, I don't want them calling me, asking me, what are you doing for me? So I asked her to do that, and she sent me back this plan, and I took the plan, and I was driving, right? I was at a stoplight at this point, right? But I took it, and I loaded it up into ChatGPT. And I said, can you break this down, by 3 days a week? And then it kicked back whatever. I said, can you break it down by platform, right? And what are the optimum times, right, to put these out there? I said, then can you narrow it with a demographic, right? I used the demographic of my area, 27 to 60 years old, right? And can you come from a place of, the tri-state, New York area, and I kept drilling down and drilling down and drilling down. It's garbage in, garbage out, right? But you can ask, right? You can get to a place where you're like 85% there. Now, you gotta look at it and you gotta read it, because we've also had where we'll use it to write remarks, and I look at the remarks and I'm like, okay, that's a fifth floor walk-up, not a full-service luxury, Like, somebody needs to actually look at what is the end product. But you can, if you get the newest model, you can do it in a different tone, and you can look at your business, and it's like a tool. Use it for whatever administrative things that you can take off your plate. It is not going to replace us. Like, there are, however, I've been in a couple pilot programs for AI, and they will be able, and I would say fairly soon, to call, your clients for you, which is, I actually was driving and somehow or other, I was first sitting at a kitchen counter with my girlfriend, and I had this opportunity, so of course I went on and I started to sign up, but then she served me a coffee, so I stopped. But it found me, right? And my phone rings, and it's this, well, he sounded like a British guy, right? And it's interesting, right? Because they find that, I think, British men, right, they got an 8% better chance, right, of converting you. They sound a little bit smarter. Everything sounds nice in an English accent. So the guy gets me on the phone, and I'm not an easy sell, right? So he gets me on the phone. He's trying to get me to sign up. And so I start asking him questions, and I'm taking him off of what he wants to talk about. And whatever, and I'm busy. I'm trying to have my cappuccino, and I'm like, I can't talk to you anymore. I got to go. And he did not want to let it go. He's like, when can I call you back? When can I call you back? When? Whatever. So I hang up on the guy. And then, of course, an hour and a half later, I'm in the car. And he gets me, and I'm driving to my beach house. And I started, I said, let me hear how you're going to call my clients, right? Well, in fact, he can't really call them yet, because it's kind of a text-to-talk type situation. But I'm role-playing. I'm like, okay, you're a buyer, I'm a seller. Right? And I'm going back and forth with this. And I'm like, yeah, you got a lag. You're speaking too slowly. And can you speed that up? And I had a conversation, right? I wouldn't set him loose on my buyers and sellers, but let me tell you, that's going to happen. And those of us, you got to integrate that. You got to stay ahead of what's going on, because that is coming.
For the audience that's here today, what they should do when they leave here, what do you think they should do to prepare for 2024? What's one thing that you recommend them to do?
I'm thinking. There's not any one thing, right?
The first thing that comes to your mind.
Well, for me, right, remember I'm a team. Most of you guys are not teams? Or
no, there's team and solo both.
You're all teams.
Well, no, both. That's mixed. Yeah, that's mixed.
So first of all, I would shave off everything you don't need to waste money on. I think a lot of us go after the shiny new penny. We sign up for everything. We think it's going to change our life, and then we don't continue, but we don't cut the subscriptions, right? That 20% that I'm down, I am chopping that 20% off because my kids need shoes. And then I think like consistency. Everything is about consistency. And all of the money at this point is in listings. So those who list last, as trite as that is, taking the listings, you're going to get paid. Getting ahead of the fact that things are now going to have price reductions, having that conversation in advance, setting expectations with the seller up front that, hey, this is a partnership, and that the market is changing and things are weird, and that this is where we are. We cannot look forward. We can only look back, so that they're not shocked, over communicating in every situation, and as much as possible breaking down that over communication into like an action plan, automating as much as you can so it's actually happening, and I also get back to basics, right? Love on your past clients. Those people, if you ever called them, they would work with you again. It's amazing how many times, and this is scary, that I get the other person's buyer right. Oh, you were the listing agent when we bought, and we liked you, right? I'm communicating with them. I'm communicating with the buyer afterwards when I'm the listing agent, just to ask them, hey, how is the house? Did everything go well? Is there anything that we can do to help you? Who do you think they're going back to? They're not going back to the person who's not communicating with them, right? And get rid of that fear of, oh, I didn't call them for 5 years, so I'll just never call them again. Nobody gives a shit, right? You don't need a reason to call. You literally pick up the phone and you say, oh my God, I was in your neighborhood and I thought of you. So what if I didn't call you for 5 years? At least I thought of you, right? Like, what is the worst that is going to happen? The truth is that phone fear is,
Right.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm sure I overtalked.
No, you're great. You're awesome. So we can hear more with Jill. We're here to talk a little bit more later about foundation system, also about negotiating skills. So it could be amazing.